Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is, whatever day it is. It's Sunday for us here at the Fountain Cast. Welcome back, guys. Matt, how you doing today,
Yeah,
man?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited for baseball to be back. I'm ready to get started and watching some of the guys back out there. It's nice. I miss baseball, I think, especially after the brutal Super Bowl with the Chiefs. I'm ready to get back into a hopeful mood with the Royals.
Yeah. No, that's the nice thing about a good Royals team is, the Super Bowl didn't turn how we wanted, but we got good baseball to watch. So, like Matt said, baseball is back. It's not just Fountain Cast, it's back. So, Royals are actually in the middle of game number 3 right now against the White Sox. We have a Carter Jensen home run so far today. So we'll kind of keep tabs on that game as we're going through it today.
Yeah,
Um,
Jensen hit that thing like 415, right?
yeah, I think I saw
That's
it was 109 miles an hour off the bat.
big dog for him. That's
So yeah,
huge.
I think that was his first at bat of the spring too. He was in the
Nice.
game the other day, but I don't think he had an at bat. So
Yeah, I don't remember, but
no, he looks good. Yeah, so baseball's back, so we'll keep tabs on that. Also, some news. Fountain is going to be once a week now that the season started. Now that we have something to talk about. So
yeah,
we've got some interesting guests coming up. A couple players that we're working on. Chatted with David Lesky yesterday of Inside the Crown. He's going to hop on with us closer to opening day. So got some cool stuff for you guys coming up today. Go over some news and notes that we have just in the last month since we chatted last, and then outside that's just predictions. We'll go through maybe some over unders. We'll go through who we think is going to lead the Royals in a lot of key categories, and then maybe just some, your usual who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to be in the World Series, all those things. So, and then we'll wrap it up with hats off. Bring that segment back. Hats off to the Chiefs tackles for not doing anything.
giving me a
We'll get to that.
migraine.
Yeah,
They're getting me content on the football side of things. So I got a lot to write about over there with the
yeah. You've been doing a
this
lot of
draft
draft stuff
class.
over there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it'll
the
be
the
interesting. I will say before we jump into baseball, like it wasn't as disappointing of a Super Bowl loss as I would have
yeah
thought. Like the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, I think felt worse. Maybe it's
yeah
just me.
that one hurt to watch. That was just like so demoralizing to see, and I also felt like with Tampa it was so demoralizing almost because I you could see it coming like when Fisher tore the
Right.
Achilles and Schwartz was also out. The second they announced Mike Remmers starting at right tackle, it was kind of like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're in trouble.
Maybe I've just grown. Because like at halftime of that game, I was still like, I think it was the weekend was the halftime show. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
we got Mahomes. They'll figure it out.
yeah,
At halftime this time around, I was like, yeah, they're done. I
yeah.
don't
We
think they got it.
Jawan Taylor's still taking 8-step drops and pass coverage for no reason, and Joe Tooney can't figure it out over there, and Candela's getting bulldozed. So I think at some point you just kind of had to fold the cards, or
Yeah.
they
Tough
couldn't
loss
get it
for the
going.
Chiefs, but I'm happy for Jalen Hurts. I do like the Eagles outside of Sirianni, so
Yep,
good for them.
amen.
I will say.
I like that roster. I can't stand him and Jalen Carter bug me. Those are the only two guys out.
Yeah, Jalen
Jalen Carter
Carter.
has gotten me some flack on my draft boards because people were upset that I moved him pretty far down after the whole incident at Georgia. And they
Mhm.
were all like, you didn't know Jalen Carter was gonna blah blah blah. And it's like, man, I
Some things matter
I
more
don't
than football.
I don't draft guys that do what he did,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yep. Well, yeah, you're doing that. We'll wrap it up with football, but you're doing the football over at where is it, KC Kingdom?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Casey Kingdom. I mostly cover the draft there. And speaking of Jalen Hurts, he was my quarterback 3 in that draft. So one of my big hits was him. We've all had our misses as well, but Hurts was one of the guys I was happy with. But yeah, I mostly cover the NFL draft over there. So feel free to check
Nice.
that out. I do basically NFL draft and baseball, and those are my two big sports sticks. So,
Nice. Yeah,
but
you guys definitely check that out. Like you said, a lot of good draft stuff right now as we get closer to April.
yeah.
Back to baseball, Royals news and notes that we have. Yeah, let's get started. Ross Stripling, Royals signed Ross Stripling to a minor league deal, gave him an invite to Major League spring training. Solid arm. I think he's 34, 35, coming off a pretty poor year. His ERA was over 6, but his FIP was closer to 3.5. 6 pitch mix. So I think there's some things for Brian Sweeney to work with. He
Yeah,
probably ends up in Omaha if I had to guess, but I think it's a solid depth piece.
he won't crack that opening day roster, but he has a really traditional starters pitch mix, I think, with the 6 and then 3 different fastballs that I really liked. He throws that knuckle curve. He doesn't get a ton of spin on the old curveball that he used, so he switched to the knuckle grip, but he really struggled to just put guys away last season. From what I saw, he was really just like wasn't finishing at bats. He did a good job throwing strikes, but he just couldn't really put anything away. But in 2022 he had a great season. So I think 2022, but yeah, he was
2022 at Toronto, he had a 3.01 ERA. He was worth almost 3 WAR.
yeah he was good just a bit ago. So I think that's good depth for the Royals, especially because they seem relatively content with moving Marsh to the bullpen. That gives you another starter down there that, if Noah Cameron doesn't work out or there's a variety of struggles, that gives you another option. So that was, I think, a good pickup for them.
Yeah, Stripling, he was an all-star in 2018 with the Dodgers. I think what the Royals have done, I mean, we heard for a long time, Dayton Moore talked about pitching is the currency of baseball. Pitching, pitching, pitching. He never, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he ever had this type of depth that the Royals have put together. It's just nuts.
He talked so much about, adding pitching and then would draft pitching really high, but nothing came of it. Like that was so frustrating in the past. There's so many high picks at pitcher and then just didn't really work out. Lacey, due to injury, obviously was kind of the most frustrating or disappointing, I should say, because there's not a ton you can do about that. But it never really felt like the Royals had more options. It kind of, you went into the season with 5, and then once you lost the 5th, it was like, where to go next. So
yeah, well, 2023, it was still basically Dayton Moore's roster. But I think at one point they had like one starter that season. Greinke was hurt, Keller was hurt.
Yeah,
Singer, I think, was hurt.
Carlos Hernandez and Zerba were up there in the rotation for a while.
So yeah, just crazy depth that the Royals have. I like the addition. I mean, like we said, I don't know if he'll crack the MLB roster on opening day, but it'll be interesting. I mean, sometimes those minor league deals have like opt-outs if they're not on the roster by a certain date. So we'll see how that works out. But
I don't really think any minor league deal ever ends up being like a bad contract. I mean, it's disappointing when they don't make the roster, but like worst case scenario, you have depth.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing wrong with adding a veteran pitcher to back up some other veteran guys just in case.
Yeah, and coming off a 6 ERA season, like it's not like his services were in high demand, right? So
yeah.
Good depth. Next bit of news. I mean, we've kind of talked about it all off season, but MJ Melendez definitely has a new swing entering spring. We saw some Instagram reels. We said, oh, that's interesting. Let's see if it sticks into spring. It's stuck into the spring. Definitely a new swing. We've seen, I think Matt Petraro was talking about it. Kind of put the onus on Melendez and said, he's got to figure it out. So I think the Royals, without saying it, have said, it's time for Melendez to figure it out, or we might have to, move on. So the new swing, I like it. It's a lot more simple. Last year he had that swing where he's like open and then he like steps into it, and then so that's gone, right? So I'll put up some video on it, but
yeah, I think it'll get him a lot better bat to ball skills, just like making contact at the plate, not striking out as much, at least hopefully. He did have a pretty abysmal at bat yesterday where he kind of just 3-pitch strikeout,
yeah.
2 just looking. That was kind of frustrating, but he still is going to have to get a feel for it. I suspect that he may start out slow or whatnot, but there's clearly effort there. That's kind of the thing I've always loved with Melendez is, he was an everyday player last season for the most part. And the thing that was the most like promising to me was, he even in his like deepest slumps, if the ball was on the ground, he was running it out every time. He's laying out and selling his body in the outfield, even when he's struggling. So I'm always content with the dude that gives a ton of effort. So he definitely was working all off season on that swing. And I do agree. He got rid of that big leg kick as well. It seemed like where he kind of was loading up in power and then opening up his stance. He's really square to the plate more. And yeah, again, I think it'll help him get at the bat on the ball. He won't strike out as much. Maybe look at some more pitches while he's at the plate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all timing. I mean, obviously he has the power. He hits the ball hard as anybody on the roster.
Yeah.
He's a good clubhouse guy. I don't remember. It might have been last offseason, might have been 2023. The Royals were at like a fair or a Six Flags or something. Like you could tell, like Vinny, Bobby, like the clubhouse likes this guy. So he works hard. He gets along with everybody. He just needs to figure out the timing. And this, if he's gonna do anything, it's gonna be this.
If he could hit the way he hits in the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 3-2 count every time he's up, that's shit. You're looking at a pretty good player. He's just gotta. He had some really clutch hits last season. He's just gotta get more consistent. I saw a post about it earlier that was like 10 MJ Melendez clutch hits, and I was like, man, I don't want to see his numbers in the first inning. But he's
yeah, right.
I like the look of the new swing. I hope he gets in the swing of things as he starts the season.
Yep. Something to watch over the spring for sure. It would be huge for the Royals if he could. I mean, just like hit 250 with 20 home runs. That'll be massive. Easier said than done. But next bit of news, not so good. Catcher Blake Mitchell, he's set to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Has a hamate bone fracture in his hand, so not great.
Yeah, that's a tough injury for baseball players. That's I'm no doctor. I'm still a college student, but that's definitely an injury that believe I've seen before with baseball, and it's one of those bones in the hand that limits range of motion in your wrist as well. So for a player has to have confidence in his hands, both at the plate as a catcher and at the plate as a hitter. That's going to be a difficult recovery. I didn't see which hand it was on, whether it was his catching or throwing hand, but at the plate, that's definitely going to make a difference. You have to be able to use your wrists and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I saw it was his right hand, so
okay.
He's a lefty, so not great.
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned on Twitter, it'll probably impact him into the season.
Yeah.
If we get to the end of the year and he really, really struggled all year, I think, you have to kind of chalk it up a little bit.
Definitely something to mention. It could be a little bit of a asterisk on the season if he struggles some, but hopefully he recovers from it. Again, it is one of those that has a bit of a long recovery time. They say 4 to 6 weeks to get back to play, but to get your full range of motion back and really feel like confident in your hand. There's also a mental side to that, so you'll have to see how he gets back.
Yeah, not great. I mean, Mitchell's a guy, I think most people had him chalked up as like 2027, but I really felt like a strong season this year, and late 2026 was a good timeline for him. So this might push that back some.
Yeah, it's okay. Carter Jensen's hitting.
Yeah, Carter Jensen's going to be there. So I think the Royals will be fine. But just a bummer, especially with people still leaving Blake Mitchell off their top 100s for whatever reason.
That's crazy.
And then, last bit of news, we already talked about spring training is going. Royals won the Cactus League opener 5-2. They won yesterday, what was it, 11-10, I think, on a John Ray walk-off. So
11-10, big hit for him.
Yeah. The backup outfielders, Rave, Gavin Cross, they look good so far. Tyler Gentry.
I would say Gentry was hitting too. You got a lot of guys that are looking to fight for that roster spot. And we've yet to see Renfroe. We saw oh my gosh, India play in the outfield a little bit. So a lot of guys competing for that outfield spot. And Gentry looked good in spring last season too. So maybe he can.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of those slow starts. Once he gets to the regular season, he just starts so slow.
Yeah.
He's got to get over that.
Yep.
So, yeah. Other than that, I mean, that's the news. Like we said earlier, the Royals are playing right now. So it's 1-1 right now. Chris Bubich put together 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, no walks, 2 Ks. So hit the strike zone, gave up a run. Fastball, let's see what he was at. Average 94.
Yeah, that's nice.
Not bad. To start spring, I'm happy with that. Spin rate was solid. He was 2,500 RPM with the slider.
Yeah, that's also nice.
Good. Tyson Guerrero also had 2 innings pitched. Didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a walk, 2 strikeouts. He looked great.
Good for him.
So not on a 40-man, but he's a guy that could be, bullpen depth.
Yeah.
Let's see what he averaged 94 with a fastball, 2,400 RPM with a slider. So he's, a high spin guy out of bullpen. I like him. So we'll keep tabs on the game. Playing the White Sox, outside of the Jensen home run, there's really not too much happening yet. So
Yeah, the White Sox spring training roster is basically their major league team, so we're
yeah,
looking at a pretty
they
big
already
game here.
they already have some backups coming in. Some guy named Jolks in left field, Elko
Yeah,
at first base.
yeah,
Maybe I'll come across them to some people, but I don't know who they are.
yeah. We'll see.
See. All right.
They all have a shot at the roster for them, so you
Yeah,
never know.
that's for sure. Far cry from the Dodgers we played yesterday, that's for sure.
Right.
All right. Well, should we do some predictions?
Let's do it.
Right. All right. 2025 predictions. I put some things in here. We'll start with some stats leaders, maybe some surprises we think we'll see. And then we've got some over-unders in there for some guys, and then we'll move into the MVP predictions. I put my guys in here. You put your guys in here. Let's start with saves leader. We both have the same guy for this guy. Who's your pick to lead the Royals in saves this year?
Yeah, I think it has to be Carlos Estevez. He's had a lot of saves in his career. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but something like 50, right, over the last 2 years. Like, he knows how to close games. That seems like why the Royals brought him in. Urseg has experienced closing games with the Royals, but not a ton. And his ability to be clutch last season, come in and get those big outs was huge for us. So I think they don't want to use him in a role where he's exclusively a closer, like where they feel like they have to save him all game. I think that was something they wanted to get away from. And so they added an experienced closer like Estevez. And I don't think Estevez would have signed with the Royals if they weren't going to use him as a closer. I think that was probably a big part of the contract negotiations with him. And so I think he'll get the leader in saves, and I think he'll be the closer for most of the season. And obviously health matters, but if he's healthy, he's the closer, I think.
Yeah, like I said, we both had the same guy. He has 82 career saves. I think, like you said, it allows the Royals to keep Urseg in, that fireman role. I think Urseg is the best reliever in that bullpen, but
100%.
Estevez isn't terribly far behind. He's just, more of a veteran type. Honestly, that bullpen is deep. You've got Estevez, you got Urseg, you got Hunter Harvey. Any of those three, I don't care how bad Harvey was last year. He was injured. Any of those three, I'm happy with in the 7th, 8th, 9th. Angel Zerpa, same thing. John Freiber, I don't think is far behind.
Yeah, I was going to have to mention Zerpa too. I just pulled it up, and he has 57 saves over the last 2 seasons. So experienced as a closer over the last 2 years. He throws a lot of strikes. The fastball velocity is 97-ish. So, that's just a traditional closer. He has the classic 4-seam slider, and then every now and then a changeup. And he'll give up hard contact at times, but he also will strike guys out, make them swing the bat. So I'm perfectly content with Estevez being the closer. Again, Ursig's definitely the best reliever in that bullpen, and I think Zerpa will take another step forward as well, give them an option on the left side. So, but I think Estevez has to be, just because it had to have been part of the contract negotiations. I think I feel like he wouldn't sign with a team like that.
Money too, so it would make sense. I don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not comparing the two like bullpens, but it reminds me some of, Greg Holland closing, Wade Davis, as that setup. I think Davis was a better reliever, but Greg Holland was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's kind of similar here with they have Estevez and Ursig.
Yeah, not really similar pitchers, but definitely the idea of what they are as players is for sure. Like, but that guy who pitches in the 9th, but Wade Davis was, whether he was the setup or just to go out there and get outs when you need outs, that's a valuable role to play as well. So.
Yep. Bullpen's going to be stacked, though. I think it was like a bold prediction. I don't think it's really that bold to say that this bullpen could lead at least the American League in ERA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they have the best bullpen in the American League Central. I'm putting together an article right now about the, ranking the bullpens. I just put the one out for the starting rotations. And ranking the bullpens is, I think the Royals are number 1. The Guardians had the best bullpen in baseball last season. And Clase is obviously so dominant, but the Royals bullpen's deep. They got like 15 or so guys that I think could be Major League Baseball pitchers. A lot of guys are going to miss out on a roster spot, and
Yeah, I don't know if Carlos Hernandez will be in the Royals bullpen, but he'll be in a big league bullpen, I think.
he
If he's
struggled
not.
last night. But if he doesn't figure it out before the end of spring, it'll be tough for him to find a spot, especially if they feel like they want to carry a third lefty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a deep group. They don't have a Klotze, but I think they're deeper than Cleveland. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. If you're sending a guy out in the sixth inning, I'd rather have the Royals bullpen than the Guardians because
For sure. All right, what about ERA? We have the same guy for this. After this, we kind of start to
yeah,
change a little bit. But Cole Reagans, he's my pick for ERA leader in 2025. You had the same. I kind of, Chris Bubich came to mind, to be honest. And I said, I don't want to be crazy today. So I went Cole Reagans. But yeah, easy pick, I think.
yeah, we'll definitely talk about Chris Bubich later, and as far as the starters go, Reagans is the ace, and he's the true ace for the Royals. He's the best ace pitcher they've had since Ventura for sure. And
Best strikeout pitcher they've had ever,
I'm
to be
about to say
honest.
he's probably better than Ventura. It's probably since Greinke, to be honest. The way that he throws strikes and he can keep his velocity up throughout the season. We saw it dip a little bit last year, but then it came back to him. He has been such a different pitcher. The second he landed in Kansas City, they really worked with him. The development team was so good with him. The slider looked good. The four seamer has been so good for him. I don't think I couldn't come up with another pick. A lot of these you look to be a little different just to see if you can make a bold prediction, but I think it had to be Cole Reagans. They gave him the contract at the top end of arbitration money. They did it for a reason because he's really good.
Yeah. Are
If
we
he's
overlooking
healthy,
Seth
he's the
Lugo here
best.
at all? You think?
I thought about it. I did. I think Seth Lugo's last season was incredible. He's getting a little older. And I think even a step back from what he had last season is still an incredible pitcher. Don't get it twisted. And even when you throw something like 10 plus pitches, the age doesn't change how good that is if you can accurately place it. I just think with Cole Reagans, he just had that little. I felt like in the middle of the season, he had a bit of a couple like rough outings. But other than that, I thought he was better than Seth Lugo. Um, Lugo's so consistent, quality start machine. I think his ERA may go up. I think Reagan's might go down. So Lugo's definitely in mind as far as the starters go. But I still felt like I had to go with Cole Reagans. Just I feel like he's going to keep getting better. And
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, not a knock on Lugo, but he's he just doesn't have that same ceiling that Reagans will give you, I think. And we'll see Reagans get better, I think.
yeah, I have no idea how you hit against either of them. I mean, if you're looking for 10 different offerings and Lugo doesn't just throw 10, like he'll throw all 10 of them. It's not like he's just has them. You have to be ready. I don't know how you hit off that, but with the people may catch up to him a little bit more after you get a bit of a full season scouting report, but I think both of
Yeah,
them are
but
going to be really good. That's a crazy one too.
even if you catch up, like as a hitter, how do you stay ready for 10 pitches?
I don't know. I don't know what you look for. I don't,
Yeah.
with a lot of pitchers, you step into the box and you're looking for a pitch that they're going to leave up. And Seth Lugo has so many of them. I have no idea what you're stepping in the box searching for, and they all move differently. Like it's not like you're throwing a changeup and a splitter and they have the same level of movement. Like they're all different pitches. It's incredible.
Yeah. And it's it's just so, I guess, refreshing is the word. Like you
Yeah,
think back to like Cal Eldred, and we had Brady Singer come out. Like, why is this guy throwing two pitches?
yeah.
Chris Bubich comes up.
3 pitches.
Why is this guy throwing three pitches?
Yeah,
And then he adds a slider, and no, don't throw that.
yeah.
Now you have guys like Daniel Lynch is throwing six pitches, and it's like an afterthought.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
4 years ago, that would have been like the biggest news in
yeah,
spring training, right?
yeah. I love it. I love the yeah. Seth Lugo is maybe he and Yu Darvish are the only guys I see that throw that many different pitch grips effectively, and it's been great to see the Royals organization, especially with other pitchers as well. Adding cutters, adding sinkers, and giving them different options to move the ball around the strike zone. That's been really important for the younger guys as well. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it was so obvious at the time, and it's nice to finally see him actually do it. So
Yeah.
good on the Royals. Their pitching development, I think, is 2023, like middle of the season. It was like, all right, they're getting better. I think
Yeah.
they're easily a top 10 in pitching development right now in the
Oh
league.
boy. Absolutely. When Cole Reagans came over and he came up to the majors throwing like 3 and 4 miles an hour faster, he was a different pitcher, and it took them days. It wasn't like that wasn't a full season of development. Cole Reagans wasn't cracking the rotation for the Rangers. He
Mhm.
came over to Kansas City, played like 5 games in the minor leagues. They called him up to the majors, and it was, who is this guy? Like, I'm very happy with that. Same with Bubic. Bubic has been taking a huge step forward since he came back from that injury. It's just it's nice to feel confident that guys are gonna improve. It used to feel like, oh, Jackson Kowar got called up and now he's getting sent back down, and why are we even sending him back down? It's not like they're going to do anything with him.
Yeah,
I feel
had like a
confident Noah Cameron.
two ERA in Omaha. He'd come up and give up like 7 runs
Right.
in the start.
I can't wait for like Noah Cameron's going to take steps up. Zobak is going to take steps forward. I'm excited to see these young guys do it.
Yeah, what a time.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? We got Royals leader in hits. This is where we kind of start to differ a little bit. Who do you got for 2025?
I had to say Bobby Witt Jr. Tough to not pick Bobby Witt Jr., I think, with just how good he was last year. It may be tough for him to replicate exactly what he did last year. But I also think this season, with the addition of Jonathan India, he's a guy to watch, because Bobby Witt Jr. may not feel the pressure that he had last season to get on base as much, and he might be able to hit a little more for power and really do his thing to drive in Jonathan India at times, with him in front of him and other guys at the bottom of the order. When Bobby Witt comes up, now he might have more guys on base that he can move over. So I want to keep an eye on Jonathan India. I think it's possible he'll take a step up. I like him a lot. And I've been impressed with the swings I've seen from him in spring training so far. So I said Bobby Witt Jr., but in parentheses, I did say Jonathan India's name just in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth bringing up. I mean, Witt,
Yeah.
obviously, he led the major leagues, 211 hits last year. So
Yeah.
I think what you're saying with India is it's important, especially like assuming they'll have him lead off, which I don't think we've seen any indication that he'll hit anywhere else. But
Right.
if you're hitting ahead of Bobby Witt Jr., it's only going to help you.
Yeah.
I think.
He already said his goal every time he's up, just get on base. Just get on base. I mean, you're right in front of a absolute MVP candidate, maybe a favorite. And so, just get on base. Just get on base, please. That was one of the biggest, most frustrating things, is Bobby Witt Jr. hitting with the bases wide open last season way too often. So,
yeah, my pick was Vinny Pasquantino. I think he's going to have a huge year. He's got to be healthy. Obviously, last year's injury wasn't really his fault. Kind of a freak injury at first base. But he has had the back issues at times. So I'd like to see a whole year from him. Assuming he can put together a whole year, I really think he's a guy that can challenge for like the hit crown in the AL. I think he could lead the league in average.
yeah,
You're hitting, assuming he's hitting behind Bobby Witt Jr. You got him, Jonathan India on base head. He's a good guy that he could lead the league in RBIs, to be honest. But
absolutely.
I think 2025 will be big for him. I think he hits 300. I think he could hit 330, to be honest. He's got the skills to do it. So he's my pick. Lead the team in hits.
Yeah, he feels like if he could run on the bases, he would be such a great leadoff option, but he can't. He's a big dude. But I think he's always a guy to watch. He doesn't strike out. He has incredible bat to ball skills. It's kind of what you're hoping for out of Melendez too, if they can have that similar swing where they can get the bat to the ball. Vinny's swing is so fast to just get the bat on the ball. He takes a lot of pitches. He gets what he wants at the plate. And I think it is very realistic that he hits well over a 300 average. Very possible he leads the team in hits, especially with guys on base in front of him. He's not going to be always swinging for the fences. So,
right. Yeah. RBI man.
I think he's absolutely the RBI leader for the Royals next year. I don't think we have that on here, but I think that's all but guaranteed for him.
I think we agree on that for sure. On to home runs. I'm predicting Bobby Witt Jr. lead the team in home runs. I think we kind of flip-flopped on this one. You had Vinny Pasquantino, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
How many
I
home
said
runs do you think he hits?
Vinny. Yeah, I said the opposite. I'd say at least 30. I think 30 is a good number for him. The power is always there for Vinny. He doesn't always have to swing for the fences, but he's going to have guys in front of him that get on base. I think he's going to want to drive in runs. He is that RBI guy. Like you definitely made a case for him to go for more hits than more power earlier. Absolutely. But I think the power is in there, and when he's healthy, he really can crank that ball to wherever he wants. He can hit it to left field. He can hit it to right field, and it can make it over the fence. He's got so much power, and I think with the guys in front of him, there's not as much pressure, in my opinion, for him to just fight through at bats and stuff like that. And the power is there. I just think it makes sense for him to hit a lot of home runs. Bobby Witt had a lot last season though as well. So I think those were kind of the two I was between. And I think your case for Vinny to hit more might make me lean a little more towards Bobby Witt. Right now, I'm kind of convincing myself in that way, but those two will be fighting it out, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a really real chance that they both hit 30 home runs.
Yeah.
My logic's not really all that different. Like we talked earlier, Bobby Wood Jr. had to, he was the spark last year. Like there weren't guys on ahead of him really.
Yeah.
You have Jonathan India, who, he'll be on base. I think he just takes some of that pressure off Bobby. He doesn't have to crank out at bats. He can just sit on his pitch. And I think that'll really help his power output, which doesn't really need help. But I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes 40 home runs this year.
Yeah,
Personally.
that'd be really nice. It felt like last season a lot of the time, especially with Michael Garcia in the first spot, there was a lot of swinging at the first couple pitches, and then Bobby Witt was coming out and the pitcher has two pitches and he's trying to work the count a little bit. And Bobby strikes out every now and again, obviously. Like he swings a lot. He wants to swing the bat. And I think now when you have Jonathan India up there, he doesn't have to look to take pitches. He can look to swing that bat. And that'll be nice.
I mean, you have Michael Garcia who's going to see 2, 3, 4 pitches in that bat. Swap him out with India, who's going to see maybe 8, 9, 10 pitches in that bat. It just helps Bobby Witt, I think. With that.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think Pasquantino's a bad pick either. I think both those guys can hit 30. That's pretty strong duo.
I think you convinced me for Bobby Witt, but I think the two of them, I think saying 60 to 70 combined home runs between the two of them, I don't think that's an unrealistic thing to say. It might be bold to get above 60, but I don't think it's unrealistic at all to say that the two of them could combine for that many homers this season.
Yeah, 100%. Let's take a break from the predictions. I was taking a look at the game. Thomas Hatch, minor league signing. I think everybody just discounts him as just whatever. Yeah. He pitched again. It's the White Sox, right? 2 perfect innings, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
His cutter looked good. Average 2,500 RPM.
Nice.
It's, upper 80s, 88. But just interesting note. Still 1-1. No change in the score going into the 7th. So on to surprise regular. At least the way I looked at this is, who's your pick to be like, there'll be a regular everyday player that's maybe better than people thought. Who do you got?
Chris Bubic. I am pounding the table on Chris Bubic this season. I'm sold. He's maybe my one of my favorite players on the Royals. I'm excited to see him get back out there, get in the starting rotation, bring the pitches that he added in the minors last season. We saw him add the cutter and the sinker. He didn't have to bring him with him to the bullpen. They stuck with that 3-pitch mix, and he was really good with that as well. The curveball was such a calling card for him as a prospect. It was so good. And they're going to have
now
him
it's
bring
like
that
an
back.
Afterthought, I feel like.
Right. Like the slider was so good last season. You now have 2 pitches like that. The curveball was really like a 12-6 type movement for him when he was pitching before. So you have that something to make the hitter look horizontally, but he has such an ability to manipulate the zone vertically as well. And you add the 2 different fastballs as well. His velocity has never been anything super great. So when you add 2 fastballs that can split off in opposite directions, he's going to be a really, really tough guy to keep up with, especially with how he spins the ball. And you just said earlier, that fastball was hitting 94 in spring training. If he can do that consistently, he's scary. That's a pitcher that I would not want to go up against. And I think I think his goal this season should be to push sub-4 ERA. And I think there's almost a 50-50 shot that he does that. That's very realistic for him with what I've seen from him so far and what he's going to be adding. If he can come out with some consistency, that would be huge for the Royals. And yeah, I'm a big Bubic fan.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we're talking about a guy in 2019. He was throwing low 90s, 3 pitches, led the minor leagues with like 145 strikeouts. Now he's going to come up. He's got 5 pitches. If he can stick around 93, 94, yeah, I don't think he's a 5. He's pitching for that 5th spot. I think he can be like a number 3 in a big league rotation.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. He's definitely one of my favorite guys to watch. One of my favorite guys for projections. My girlfriend has heard me talk about him so much that for my birthday about a month ago, she bought me a $20 cameo of Chris Bubic. So I have that on my phone. That was really funny. She started playing it through a speaker, and I went, "Who is?" Well, I couldn't believe it. So that was really funny. But yeah, I really look forward to. I think this is last season was good. Like his numbers were really good last season, but I think this is the full season, the full breakout season for Chris Bubic. I really look forward to seeing it.
It's what we wanted in 2023 when he got hurt. He looked great, and I think he's going to be even better than that. So, my pick's Joey Wiemer. I don't really need to go too much in depth because I think we talked about why quite a bit, but he was a toss-in the India trade. I don't think he was really just a true toss-in. I think he's going to be at least 4th outfielder. I think his defense is good. And I think offensively he's better than we saw last year with Cincinnati. Cincinnati, to be honest, I don't think they've got some guys, but I don't think they're great at developing hitters. They had a pretty deep farm system a couple of years ago. It's really kind of flamed out outside of Ellie De La Cruz. So.
Yeah, it's felt like a lot of those guys are available for trade this offseason, between India and, there were a lot of the outfielders as well, like Friedel and Stier and a couple other guys out there. It felt like they were possibly available.
Yeah. I mean, that still matters to me. Like, I think Milwaukee's good at developing talent, and, if they're giving up on a guy, maybe it matters. But I think, at worst, you've got a really good platoon partner with MJ Melendez, who can also play center field. So I think Joey Wiemer makes a huge difference this year. I think he's an everyday guy. And I think he just gives Royals what they didn't have last year. That outfield was not great, but they didn't really have somebody that can say, all right, let's give this guy a chance, right? They had Dairon Blanco.
Yeah.
Who wasn't terrible, but if he's not hitting with a yellow crayon, he's not great.
I was just about to say, it was after Dairon hit with the yellow crayon, it was it felt pathetic on Royals Twitter seeing everybody get Dairon Blanco at the game. Yeah. We need Dairon Blanco at the plate. Is what? So yeah, I think adding a big right-hander who can come in, if not only provide depth if Isbell or Melendez gets hurt, but you can kind of platoon him in and out if one of them gets cold. I think you can say with relative confidence that he'll play a role at a minimum this season with the team and almost the whole season. His swing looked good so far in spring training, and the big problem with him was strikeouts, and haven't been horribly disappointed with his at bats. So I think that we all know there's potential there with the power and with he's an incredible athlete. So if they can figure out that swing, he's going to be he could play a huge role for them. I mean, he could be a real everyday starter for them if that swing comes together. We already know what he does on defense. So if he can get a 700 OPS, he's better than what we got out there already.
Yep. I'm a sucker for post-type prospects, and he's definitely one of them. But defensively, I think he's probably the second best defender on the 40-man roster, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Just needs a contact, which is what the Royals do well. So that's why he's my pick. I think he's a surprise guy this year.
Yeah.
Let's flip the spectrum. What about disappointing guys? Who's somebody you think will kind of fail to live up to the hype?
Yeah, this is always tough because I never want to. I don't want to say these things like saying the player's going to be bad or he's going to be like a terrible player this season. Someone that may disappoint. I've seen a lot of hype around Michael Massey, and I like Michael Massey as a player. And the pop out of his bat last season was impressive at times. But I think there's some expectations among Royals fans, especially when the team traded for Jonathan India, that like India needed to kick to the outfield. Like Massey has to be the everyday, all the time second baseman because of the flashes we saw last season. And I don't I don't get the feeling he was good. He was good. He was a good second baseman. And I don't want to get it twisted that I think Michael Massey is some bad player, but I think the expectations of him hitting like 800, 850 OPS and then being an everyday second baseman is a little bit more than what he's going to be able to do, especially with the concerns about the injuries in the past with the back and other things. It's hard for me to see him taking a step up from what he did last season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think the team went and got India for a reason. I don't think that's because Massey's bad, but I think that's because they feel they have to have insurance there. And they needed a leadoff guy, and they felt like second base was the spot where they wanted to add this offseason. So that's why I include Michael Massey on here.
Yeah, I think health matters a lot. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. Even when he is healthy, I mean, he's got a good pop for a second baseman, but I mean, what's the ceiling for Michael Massey? Probably like 265 with like a 200 ISO. That's like best case scenario, I think.
Right.
Which is great. Like that's great, right? But when have we ever gotten that? Not very often, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'll take that from a second baseman. You'll take that. You'll even take a little less than that from a second baseman, and he plays good defense. But I think some people have been expecting that he'll take a step up and get to a place that I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I think he's like with the defense, maybe like a 3-win player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. There's people that are maybe they view him as like, yeah, maybe he can be like a 5-win guy. I just don't think he's a type of player, you know. I went with Michael Garcia. He's had a good spring in 3 games. I think he had like a clutch triple. I just don't. Michael Garcia, the third baseman, I don't think he's ever going to be what Michael Garcia, the third baseman, needs to be. We're not going to put him at shortstop, like we're covered there, and that's really where he should be.
Yeah.
He couldn't play second base last year. Defensively, he was not good. Another reason the Royals went and got Jonathan India. Right. He hits the ball hard, but I just don't think that's ever going to translate into home runs. It's never going to translate into actual game power. There are guys who hit the ball hard, and that's just what they do. They just hit the ball hard. It doesn't turn into, what you want. Yep. So I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's great defensively. But, kind of going into one of my next predictions, I think by midseason, the Royals look at third base and say, okay, we need to acquire like an actual third baseman.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his defense over there is incredible and it's so valuable. And you want to have him at third base for the defense, but the bat is not a third baseman. You're playing a power position and he's not giving it to him. He wasn't good enough as a leadoff guy last season. So they're going to look to move him down in the order. I don't think he's an everyday third baseman yet by any means. And it may be possible that it happens, but I don't think that he's quite got that yet. We've already talked. The Royals have already said they're willing to move him around. They even were experimenting with it last season. So they may view him as a utility guy with how many steals he had last season and his quality defense. He is a great athlete. So I think the expectation that he's going to take this huge jump forward, I think it's similar to Michael Massey. Like third base was never off the table for the Royals this offseason. It's not off the table at the trade deadline either. Like they're willing to add at third base. That was part of why they added Biggio was depth at third base. They want a utility guy who can play third. So as much as I love his defense and I would love to see his bat come around, I absolutely see where that's coming from to say that he could not reach those expectations.
Yeah, I think utility role is that's a good role for him. The Royals have already missed a lot of different things, right? They've talked for like the first time ever about how, maybe the bat matters a little more than the defense in some spots, which is like big for the Royals, right?
Right.
But they've talked about putting him in center field, putting him in left field. So they're already kind of talking about moving him into that utility role. There was like some interest in Nolan Arenado from one side. He wasn't
Right.
interested, so it didn't go anywhere,
Yeah.
right? But the biggest thing, because you could say the same thing about NJ Melendez, right? Like, oh, it's all these hard hit rates, but no production. There's a big difference with MJ Melendez. Like, this dude led the minor leagues, had like 40 home runs.
Right.
He's had the production. He is a power hitter, hits the
Uh,
ball hard. He just needs to translate it. Michael Garcia was never a power hitter.
yeah, it's the Weimer's the similar too. He had a bunch of home runs early in his minor league career, and
Exactly.
they kind of slowed down. Like we know it's in there somewhere. He's capable of it.
Yeah.
Garcia's never really done that. I think Garcia right now is kind of what the team was hoping Lofton would be when they called him up, like that super utility guy that can play good defense anywhere, fill in role type of guy at the bottom of the order. But you don't want your third baseman hitting in the 8 hole. That doesn't like that. That's not ideal. When you have somebody so rangy like Bobby Witt over there at shortstop, you don't need an elite defender at third base. It's nice to
Yeah,
have, but
exactly.
Bobby Witt covers so much ground. You don't need that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
I'm
worst
happy
case
with
scenario.
I'm happy with defense at third base, but I mean, you take Nolan Arenado and take Brian Hayes, right? They're both
Right.
great defenders. Arenado's like a potential Hall of Famer because he hits like a third baseman, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's where,
you can even go to Rafael Devers, who's not like a great defensive third baseman, but he rakes. And
yeah.
I would
Well,
trade those.
don't tell Devers he's apparently not a third baseman anymore either. So
Yeah, that's that's the whole thing. And what was it? Casas the other day saying like he would move him around, and then the
yeah,
guys that should make
what a
the
nightmare!
roster.
Like, why do you even
Yeah,
say it? Just say, you know what?
yeah.
I'm a player. I'm not a GM. I don't know.
And the weird interview questions for him too. But what can you do?
Yep. Well, we'll see what Garcia does. I I would love to root for him. I think he's a good player. I just don't. I don't think a winning baseball team has him as a starting third baseman.
Yeah,
Not a
I think
not a World Series winning team. Obviously, they won last year with there.
yeah, I think you're not gonna you'd have to overcome him to win a lot of games, and you'd rather have a guy that you don't have to overcome his at bat. And I like his athletic profile, but the skill set's just not there yet.
For sure. Bold predictions. I already kind of threw one of mine out there. I think the Royals add an elite hitter at the deadline. Maybe it's corner outfield. I think it'll be third base, personally. But a lot of that ties in with my other bold prediction. I think MJ Melendez is worth at least 110 weighted runs per plus. I think the new swing is exactly what he needs. I think the power is already there. He already hits the ball hard. It's just timing. And I think the new swing will give him that. So those are
Yeah,
my two bold predictions.
I also think he's Melendez is also another player that's a good athlete out there in the outfield. I think he's capable of being a better defender than his stats represented last season out there. You know,
Hey,
it's
he's in
one of
like
his
his third year as an outfielder, if that,
right.
right?
Yeah, and he made some impressive plays. I mean, last year there were some like I would never have thought he would have gotten to, and so there's clear improvement out there as well. So I think you'll see step forward at the plate and in the field. So I think that's uh, maybe a little bold for Melendez, but definitely realistic for him to get to that spot.
What are you two?
I got Chris Bubich. I already said he's my breakout guy. I have him getting more than 150 strikeouts. I think with the added pitches, you bring back the curveball, which was his calling card in the minor leagues, and especially with the boosted velocity, trying to get on plane with him is going to be so hard. We saw Michael Wacha last season around 140, even with the injury. I think a lot of people expect a limited amount of innings for Chris Bubich this season, maybe as they want to nurse him back from that arm injury. But I think he's going to impress people a little bit more. I think he might go a little deeper than people expect. And I think 150 strikeouts is very realistic for him. I think 150 innings is more than realistic for him. So I think both of those two, I would say 150 innings, 150 strikeouts. I'd probably even put those two together as my bold prediction for Chris Bubich. I think he outperforms Michael Lorenzen as well out there. I like Lorenzen too, but I think Chris Bubich will be the fourth best pitcher in this rotation. I think he's closer to 3 than he is to 5. So
Yeah, I think so for sure.
yeah.
And he's far enough from the injury. Like I don't think he's going to be free of limitation this year, but I think they're going to let him kind of go.
Right, you keep an eye on him, but you kind of ask him how he's feeling, less so step on his toes a little bit. And my other one is Kevin Biggio will win a roster spot, play 70 plus games. I think this kind of goes along with Maikel Garcia, and then potential with Michael Massey, whether it's a struggle or an injury or something like that. Biggio's going to play a utility role for them. He's been hitting in the minors, or not in the minors, in spring training so far. He had a good year in Toronto just a little bit ago, so it's not like he's super far removed from playing well. So I think adding him on a minor league deal, I think he's going to make the major league team as their utility guy. Him, Lofton, they're going to compete for it, but I think Biggio's the better player, at least right now.
Yeah, I think so. He's more proven at the big league level too.
Yeah, they wanted to add the left-handed bat, and so I think that's his spot to lose right now, and I think he'll play in 70 plus games, maybe even more, because they're going to want to move him around. And when he gets hot, we know Cotero likes to throw guys like that in the game if they have the hot bat gets to play. So I think it's possible with Michael Garcia, he could get bullied out of third base a little bit if Biggio gets hot.
Yeah, I think Biggio, I think he's a better everyday third baseman. I don't think he's a good everyday third baseman, but with him and Garcia kind of splitting like a utility role, I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to take Nick Prado's roster spot and give it to Biggio, I think.
Yeah, we saw Garcia getting platooned a little bit last season in that leadoff spot with Massey taking some of them. We even saw Fermin get up there and a couple other guys hitting that leadoff spot, and then they added Tommy Pham. But so I think it's possible they platoon him as well with Biggio, or maybe they want to let India get out there. So yeah, Biggio could get a big role at third base, some outfield spots as needed, maybe second base, wherever they really feel like they need him. He can play a variety of spots. So I think Cotero like a player like him.
Well, and you said Massey, if you have a Massey injury, I think India at second, and then Biggio can play right field, third base, left field. He gives you a lot of versatility.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. All right, let's do some over-unders. How about that?
All right.
Let's do these kind of rapid fire. I'll just run through them. Tell me over, under. Then maybe we can look back at a few of them if we want to. Let's start with Nelson Velasquez. I think we could have said similar last year. 50 games played, over, under.
I hate to say under, but under. Yeah.
I'm 100% under.
I hate to say it because the pop that he in 2023, man, he was so fun to watch. It felt like he was coming to the plate slugging every time when he got up. But at the plate, he feels really similar to Michael Garcia. Like he hits the ball hard, but to what? Like he had that one super clutch hit last season where he drove in the game-winning run, and Lefebvre was going crazy because they drove in the game-winning run, but he just drilled a ball 100 miles an hour straight at a shortstop. Like so. Yeah.
His first week he was great last year, and then he just fell apart.
Yeah, it feels like he hits the ball hard, but strikeouts can be a problem. He's not that rangy in the outfield, especially in Kauffman. That's going to be concerning. And
I went to a game last year in Seattle, and he was the right fielder. It was atrocious.
Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah. It feels like we already have Renfroe. They feel like really similar defensive roles, except Renfroe has a bigger arm, and at the plate, I don't know that he's going to impress me enough to. I don't think he makes the opening day roster. I think does he have an option left?
I think he has one left.
Yeah, so
he reminds me a lot of Ryan O'Hearn. I don't think he's going to figure out in Kansas City.
Yep.
He might leave and figure it out, and I won't be mad.
Yep. Yeah, I think that definitely is. Right-handed Ryan O'Hearn makes a lot of sense, but I don't think he finds it in Kansas City. He might be a cheap trade target or something like that for one of the smaller teams, but. Yeah, I think a hard under, unfortunately.
Under for sure. Bobby Witt Jr., 30 home runs. I'm taking the over.
Yep, bang, 100%. He stays healthy. I think that's guaranteed.
Yeah, 100% over. I think he'll touch 40. Jonathan India, 340 on base.
I'm right around 340. I want to say a little bit under. I think 340 might be a little bit bold. I think he'll have some hits, but I think guys are going to pitch to strikes, try to get him to put the ball in play and get some outs. But he's going to work his way on base. I think around 340 is really realistic. I'm going to go around 335-ish. But I still think 335 would be a great season from him. Above 340, I'm floored. That extend him tomorrow. Like that would be. I'm
with you. I'm a little under. I think 330. He's a guy that takes walks. I don't think he's going to take as many walks with Bobby Witt Jr. hitting behind him. Teams are
Right.
not going to give him free passes.
Right.
So
That you don't want to put him on the bases. And with Vinny behind him, an RBI machine, like you don't want it was hard enough for Garcia to get on base last season. India's obviously better at getting on base, but teams aren't just going to hand it to him. They're going to make him swing the bat. So,
yeah,
yeah.
and I think we'll see that he didn't have a ton of power in Cincinnati, and he's going to have less in Kaufman. So I think teams they'll be more happy giving him like a single or a double than giving him a free pass. So
Right. Absolutely.
again, though, 330, I don't think that's a bad mark by any means.
That'd be huge for him, I think. That would solidify his role absolutely all season.
Sure. Cole Reagan's 200 strikeouts.
So again, I'm going to be a little realistic, maybe a little pessimistic here, but I'm going to go under 200 strikeouts, but a bit more innings pitched this season because I think he might be a little more conservative at times. You know, we really saw him go out, dominate, and when we needed Cole Reagan's came through every time. Strikeouts, they were all there. But he took a dip in the middle of the season where I feel like he kind of like wore himself out. And that was,
Yeah, I think so.
I think that kind of came from pushing for strikeouts at times. That was not ideal. And I think that held him back a little bit. So I'm going to go just under, but that's not because I think Cole Reagan's can't do it, but because I think he might have a little bit more conservative an approach.
I'm under. I think he's around like 175. I just don't think he'll pitch enough to get to 200, which isn't a bad thing. I just think no matter how far removed he is, he's got 2 Tommy Johns. The Royals aren't going to push him.
Yeah, that's the concern with extending him too. Is that you never know how well that arm holds. 2 Tommy Johns is rough to come back from. So
yeah, and by the time they extend him, he's going to be 30, 31.
Yeah,
so I have to see. Chris Bubich, 15 games started. I think I know you're over.
Oh yeah, give me over. Yep, every time, absolutely.
I think I'm over. I think I'll have him between the 20, 25 range. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think over 20 is easy for him. I think he may be limited. I think over 15 or I would say maybe 13 quality starts for him is like a pushing it bold prediction because the team may take him out early. Again, there may be a little bit of concern about trusting him with the arm, but I think he easily passes 15 games started. I think he goes past 1,500 or not 1,500, 150 innings pitched. So,
Pasquantino, 300 batting average.
Yes, sir. Over. Absolutely. Yep.
Hammer the over. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm taking
Last but not least, wins. Royals, 85 wins, over under.
I'm a Royals fan, so obviously I want to say over. I'm going to say over. I think they made additions this season. I think their team this season is better than their team last season. I can say that with pretty much certainty that I think even if pitchers like Lugo and Waka take a step back, I think with the additions they made, like Estevez, India, then Bubich coming back, and the improvements you're hoping to see from Zerpa and other young players, hopefully Garcia, Melendez, other guys, I'm convinced this team can win 90 plus games.
Yeah, I thought 85 was a good mark.
Yeah.
I was at like 82, 84 before the Estevez edition.
Yeah.
Adding him puts me like around 85. But as we've gone through this, talking about, the Melendez swing, the India edition, I think the India edition makes the lineup a lot deeper than it feels, even if it's just one guy. Because all of a sudden, the whole top third of your lineup is pretty solid.
Yeah, that felt like the biggest problem for the Royals offense last season was there was nobody in front of your 3 best hitters that was just on base. It always felt like it was Bobby Witt with the bases open and 1 out or 2 outs or something like that. And it was like he was on base and now all of a sudden Vinny Pasquantino has to hit a pop fly with 1 out and hopefully he'll drive Bobby. And that got it got a little
even
annoying.
That had this lineup as like top 10 lineup by August, right?
Right.
So I think all those things we covered, I think if I had to put a wager right now, I'd probably have them at 87 wins, 88 wins.
Yeah, I think 85 is a good number. I think a little over 85 is around where I would put them, but I think 90 plus is absolutely possible for them.
Yeah, if enough goes right, 90 is in the cards.
If they stay healthy, I think 90's pretty realistic.
Yeah. All right, we're both taking the over. No surprise from Royals fans, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll just keep kind of doing some rapid fire here. I'll wrap this up. Go through the rest. AL MVP.
Yeah, sorry, no surprise from a Royals fan, but it's Bobby Witt Jr. I think he should be the favorite this season. Aaron Judge won it last year because he was belting homers like it was nobody's business in a Little League stadium. But, it is what it is. I think Bobby Witt Jr., his batting numbers get hampered a little bit by Kaufman, and he was still dominating baseball, I think, this season. He puts up similar numbers, but I think people see the value of Bobby Witt Jr. now. I think they see the 5-tool player that does everything for the team. And I think if we actually took the term value in the term most valuable player into consideration when talking about somebody, I think Bobby Witt Jr. was the most valuable player to his team last season. I think
he was the best player in baseball, whether Aaron Judge was the best hitter.
Yeah, I think Aaron Judge brought value as a home run guy, and his stats were incredible. And, maybe somebody hasn't had that level at the plate, but, he's hitting right behind Juan Soto, who's one of the best players in baseball. Bobby Witt Jr. is out here doing things. He's the best player on the Royals by far, especially in the lineup. I mean, the Royals' next best players, the 3 of them are probably pitchers, at least. So I think he brought the most value in baseball. I think he'll do it again this season.
I don't have a popular pick. Sometimes I try and reel in like my homerism, right? Like, he can't do it again. Like, there's no way he can do that again, right?
Yep.
If he does, then I think Bobby Witt Jr. is the MVP. I think he's probably more like a 5-win player this coming season, just because I have such a hard time saying, yeah, this guy's going to be a 9-win player again. So I'm going with Gunnar Henderson. Last year, for the season, I went with Adley Rutschman. Somebody on the Orioles is going to be like what they should be. I'm not an Orioles fan, but I think they have a lot of guys. So I think it'll be Gunnar and Bobby most of the year. And I think Gunnar will kind of edge him personally. Yeah,
I live in Maryland, and I live close to Orioles Stadium's the closest one to my house. So every year I get to see the Royals play the Orioles in O's Stadium as an away fan, and nobody likes me there, but that's okay. But man, Gunnar Henderson, he's really good. That kid is really good. Another type of 5-tool guy. Bobby's a little better on defense, maybe a little bit better with the contact. Gunnar probably has a little bit better power, but the two of them, those two are two of the best shortstops in baseball altogether. And I remember all my coworkers at where I work are Orioles fans and trying to tell me Gunnar was better than Bobby Witt. And I went, just you wait. And they waited.
I don't think he is.
Nah.
Nope, whatever my prediction says, I think Bobby Witt Jr. is a better shortstop. I just think it's really hard to overcome what the league at least is going to look at Bobby Witt Jr. as. They're going to be fine giving him walks this year.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't the case last year.
He's the top dog. Like it's hard to stay at the top. It's like Mahomes in the NFL. Every week, every team is prepared for just you.
Exactly.
I feel that way about a lot of those top teams. Like, if you're the Royals and you're looking at your schedule and you got the White Sox series and then the Yankees series, we're preparing for the Yankees before the White Sox. Teams are going to be preparing for Bobby Witt Jr. well before they reach him. And so it's definitely possible we'll see him walk more, less power, whatever. But man, he refused to get out last season. There were stretches where it was just he had like a 12 at bat hitting streak or something like this, or on base streak, where you couldn't get him out. And I don't know what teams do against him. He hits for contact, he hits for power. He just feels like he can do everything. And maybe this is me rooting for my hero in Kansas City right now, but
no, I think it's a good argument. I think if the Royals can go out and I'm a big believer that Bo Bichette's going to have a bounce back year. If they can get like a Bo Bichette at the trade deadline and put him at third and bat him behind Bobby Witt Jr., I think Bobby Witt Jr. can do even more.
Yeah, would love to see a big time third baseman go in there and get the middle of that order completely solidified. I know Quintero likes to switch them around, but if you can get one more big bat in there,
it'll be huge.
It's a possible World Series team.
Holy shit, man! Jac Caglianone just hit 115 mile an hour home run.
Oh, no way!
435 feet.
Oh man! Oh,
Jesus
that
Christ.
baseball's flat.
Fucking MLB, man. Like, can't even watch the game.
I
Like,
know,
can't
that's
even
so
watch it.
stupid.
I'll
That's so
try
dumb.
and listen to it on the radio.
Yeah, that's incredible. That kid has pop. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, Boba that's cool and all, but just get Jac Caglianone up here and like
Dude,
July, have him at third.
uh-huh. Yeah, man. They are gonna have to find a way to get him onto this team whenever he's ready. I mentioned this in the past. My concern is, him and Pasquantino playing a similar type of role. Caglione a little more power, a little less contact, but both of them as those power big left-handed first basemen. I think Katero will be hesitant to want to have two of those guys rotating between DH and first base, having less flexibility. So I
Yeah,
wonder if they try him.
they'll want to put Cags in right field, I think.
Yeah,
But I just flexibility be damned, man. If that dude hits the ball like that,
I'm about to
just
say,
get him up here.
Anybody, he can DH every night. If you're hitting the ball 150 miles an hour, if his OPS is above 800, 900 at some points hitting in Omaha, I'm gonna be begging, because the dude is, if he touches the baseball, it's unbelievable. I haven't seen a guy generate power like that in a long time. It's incredible what he does at the plate.
They've never had it.
I've never seen it. No way. That's nuts.
It was off a 93-mile-an-hour sinker up in the middle. I don't know who Trey McGuff is. Who's Trey McGuff? He's the 29th ranked prospect according to Fangraphs, which doesn't mean much for the White Sox. But
yeah, that sounds like a name they would have in like a Bugs Bunny episode, something like that. Some Looney Tunes
He was
character.
26 last year, had a 1.98 ERA in AAA with a 27% strikeout rate. I mean, he's not terrible. He's not big league arm.
Jac Caglianone is hitting against a maybe MLB guy. We'll take it. I don't care if he's hitting off against my younger cousin. If he's hitting the ball 115 miles an hour, I'm happy. That's just fine with me. I'm so excited to see Annie Rogers post the
I need to see
video.
The clip.
Yep, that's going to be super fun. Can't wait.
Sheesh. Sorry to derail us, but that was fun.
That's unbelievable.
AL Cy Young, I got Logan Gilbert. I think he was good to start last year. I think he puts together a whole season. He's getting pretty close to free agency. And contract years are undefeated. I don't think it's his contract year yet. But Logan Gilbert's pretty damn good, so he's my pick.
Yeah, well, he was the only guy to beat out Lugo for innings pitched, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he eats innings. He's a really good pitcher. That Mariners pitching staff is really, really good. They got a lot of guys. Hit
for shit, but they can pitch. No.
Yeah, they got a lot of pitchers over there. That starting rotation's incredible. I said Garrett Crochet, I think, on a new team in the Red Sox. Fenway's a hitter-friendly park, which might limit the possibilities there for him, but he was so good for the White Sox. There's a reason the Red Sox gave up what they did for him. And with the lefty pitching there, he's going to force some soft contact with that sinker pitch. And I really, really liked what I saw from Crochet with the White Sox. I think his numbers were hampered a little bit because the White Sox defense is absolutely abysmal. Their team in general is, but I think the Red Sox will help him out a little bit with the defense. I think he's going to be ready to. He's going to come out and maybe try a little bit harder, playing for a team that's looking to actually win some games. That's my pick.
There's something to be said for just playing a better team and having that motivation. So I think it's a good pick.
I think you see a similar thing, like the step forward we saw from like Lugo and. That like Lugo's older, obviously completely different pitcher, but that like new team, new role, he's ready to go be an ace for the Red Sox. He's going to go out there and do some big things.
Yep. I like it. All right. I'm just going to roll through all of my playoff teams here. All right. My World Series prediction, then I'll let you roll with yours. In the AL, I have the Tigers winning the Central. Yankees and Mariners rounding out the division winners. I think the Red Sox, Royals, and Orioles all make the playoffs. In the NL, I got the Braves, Dodgers, Cubs, and then wild cards, I got Mets, Phillies, and Pirates. World Series, I got Dodgers over Red Sox. I think the Red Sox have done a lot this offseason. I think the Yankees are going to struggle a bit more than they think without Juan Soto. And I hate the Dodgers, but it's tough to pick somebody to beat the Dodgers. So I got Dodgers over Red Sox.
Yeah. That's definitely That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I think the Red Sox made a lot of additions. I think the addition of Bregman
Yeah,
was
they
huge for
just
them.
added Bregman as an afterthought.
Yeah, they just have the money. It is what it
Yeah.
is. Annoying, but it's okay. I surprised you don't even have the Rangers in the playoffs here. I like
I
that.
just think there's too much of the roster that's old.
Yeah,
I don't think
maybe.
Marcus Simeon, I don't think you can count on him again. Corey Seager, maybe, but too many guys that I think are just a little over the hill.
I think you got guys like Adolis Garcia who could have a bit of a bounce back this year. I was kind
Even
of
him, he's
rooting
like
for him.
35.
Yeah, you got older guys there. I feel something about me has a little hope for them. I don't know what it is. I think
It'll be
DeGrom,
big. Their
they need a
pitching
lot of
staff will
bounce
be big.
backs. Yeah,
They need
they
they
need a lot
need
of bounce
Rocker
backs.
to
Uh,
be what they need.
I
They need
love
Leiter
Kumar
to be,
Rocker.
yeah.
I love Kumar Rocker. That kid is immensely talented. So for me, I went with the Royals, Red Sox, and Rangers winning their divisions. Then the Mariners, Guardians, and Yankees in the playoffs. I have the Orioles not making it, unfortunately. Sorry, friends. Any of my friends in the Baltimore area listening to this, I apologize. Your division is stacked. And then in the NL, I have the Cubs, Mets, and Dodgers, and then the Braves, Diamondbacks, and Phillies making it. Really tough to leave the Padres out for me.
That was tough for me too, but the NL's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, the NL is really strong. I really like the Diamondbacks, their addition of Corbin Burns, a couple of other big players there. They didn't move off of their outfielders, despite how much I was begging. But that they got a really solid roster over there. And then my surprise, the reason why I said I'm surprised you didn't have the Rangers, I have the Rangers making it to the World Series. Dodgers are going to win it. Just spent so much money, they have to. I feel like if they don't, it's a massive letdown for their fan base. So I'm going to go Dodgers over Rangers. Maybe really bold to have the Rangers go that far, but I think a lot of those guys are able to bounce back. I can't wait to see DeGrom pitch for the 5 innings that he'll be out there this season.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think the Rangers are a bad pick. It's just they need so much to go right for them and to bounce back that it's just.
I just think it's possible. I think it's possible they look good to start the season and then they really attack the trade deadline, something like that, where they really just feel like, their players are older and they got to go all in. And they really put all their cards on the table the way we've seen some other teams do it before.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely at that stage. They have to go all in if they want to do it. Neither of us picked the Astros, surprisingly enough.
No, I really think losing Kyle Tucker is a big blow.
No Tucker, no Bregman.
Yeah, I think that's 2 huge losses for them. They're kind of restarting a little bit. Yeah, I'll tell you who's going to have a heck of a season, and put it down if you have him in fantasy baseball. Isaac Paredes hitting all of his home runs, pulling them to deep left field every time.
Weird
and that short
porch,
I'm telling you, if you want to see something super funny, just look up Isaac Paredes' home run spray chart. There's just a clump in left field. He did not push a single ball last year. He's going to have a fun time playing on that short porch. He's going to yank everything over to that.
I picked him up in our fantasy league for that reason. Somebody sent me a trade offer this week. They wanted to give me Mackenzie Gore, and I couldn't say no quick enough.
Yeah. I like Mackenzie Gore. I got friends that are Nationals fans, and Mackenzie Gore was a fun watch last season. But Paredes is he's going to be a fun guy to see how many times he pulls the ball over that short little fence.
He's in the right place. All right, man. Let's wrap it up. Hats off. You got anything?
I do. I got to say hats off to my co-host here, Preston Farr, for having his 3rd kid and starting his new job. Congratulations. You've done a lot. And I know he's got a lot on his plate, but is still managing to keep the Royals fans informed on all the key information and doing the most important work, putting together a really strong and happy family. So happy to say
thanks. It's much different at 30. We talked about this earlier. Much different at 30 than 25. 5 years makes a difference. But thanks to all you guys. I mean, obviously it takes more than one person to make farm friends happen. So thanks to all you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My hat's off. I don't know how many times I'll have the same one. Hats off to MLB for just not letting us watch baseball every spring training.
Yep.
Like we know spring training's coming. We know when it is every year. Like, we know when the games are going to be. We can see like StatCast data, but we can't watch it. So
Yeah.
hats off to,
Once again, a sarcastic hat tip to Rob
yeah,
Manfred.
every time until he's
Yep,
gone. Just
absolutely.
yeah.
And the inevitable lockout that he will be causing very soon.
I actually, maybe it'll get rid of him and it'll be a double, like a
Whatever
double
it
miracle.
takes.
But
Yep,
I'm not opposed to it if it fixes baseball. Let's do it.
yep, yeah. We needs a bit of a change, but I love this sport too much for the league to be structured this way. But
Yeah, gotta do it.
it's on the horizon. We're almost there.
Well, speaking of almost there, that's it for us, guys. Like I said earlier, we're back to weekly. I think we said Fridays. We're going to shoot for Fridays.
Sounds good.
So now that the season's here, we're once a week. We got some guests coming up, talking with, maybe Spencer Nivens, maybe Carson Rockford. We got David Lesky coming on soon. Jack Johnson, Locked On Royals. Got a lot of guys coming on. Somebody always gives us reviews on Spotify. They just say it was fine. Thank you. Glad it was fine. But please drop a review. Let us know how we're doing. This will be on YouTube. Drop a comment. Spotify, give us a review. We're here for the fans. We're here for you guys. And if it was fine, tell us it was fine.
We got the 3 T-shirts.
Yeah. Pick it up, guys. Drop a review. Get one of those shirts for free. Yeah. Until next time, it's a Fountain Cast.
Go Royals.